Okay, we're going to call the March 10, 2016 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order, and if the administrator would call the roll.
Anderson,
Here.
Begelman,
Here?
Dane,
Here.
French,
Here.
Huser,
Here.
Olson,
Here.
Payne, Solheim,
Here.
Wilson.
I think he's in Washington.
Yes, I got that message. Thank you.
Somebody has to do that. Okay, you have an agenda before you.
Move approval. We'll be quick tonight.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed? And the motion is carried. The agenda is approved. You also have the minutes of February 4, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting in front of you. Any additions, corrections?
Approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. And the minutes of the February 4, 2016 meeting are approved. Ben, any communications?
No meeting for the Board of Adjustments for the month of March. We did not have any applications.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
We don't have public hearings tonight, so the first item of regular business, I think the only item of regular business, is to review the final plat for Cedar Point First Edition for 4 commercial lots in southeast Waverly. GLSW LLC applicant is requesting a preliminary subdivision plat for 4 commercial lots known as Cedar Point First Edition. The property is located on the south side of and within the 3000 block of East Bremer Avenue. The comprehensive land use map was amended recently to show this property as commercial. This final plat and construction documents follow the preliminary plat which were approved by the City Council on August 17, 2015. Ben, anything to bring in?
You guys saw the preliminary plat last summer, 2015 on this. Again, it's called Cedar Point. It's going to be 4 commercial lots. It's going to represent the extension across the street for Pine Street. It's going to have 70-foot wide right-of-way. Public infrastructure will be installed. The numbers for the performance bond are being finalized through Public Works right now. This is anticipated on going before the council during the month of March. And the 4 properties are all Zone C2, general commercial, and property to the south is residential. Zoned that way, that is, and unplatted.
And also to the
And then to the west is going to be residential lots that are existing.
any questions for Ben before we go into the to a discussion here?
Is the idea that each one of those lots would have its own access directly off of Bremer?
That's a good question. I know lots 1 and 2 are proposing a shared drive in between with an easement, a common drive that is, so they would have one access to share. And then the lots 3 and 4 would be accessed using Pine Street only, no direct access onto East Bremer Avenue, known as State Highway 3.
So there'd be one point of access?
One new point of access, or there'll be 2. There's an existing kind of a farm drive that they're planning to beef up between the shown lots 1 and 2 on the west side there. And then there's a proposed new street of Pine Street that would represent across the street, basically a mirror image of what's across the street there for a 4-way intersection.
There's a gentleman in the back of the room. I don't know whether you're here to listen or to work. Okay, we haven't met, but if you would come up and talk with us, please. And as we have conversation, we can go back and forth.
I'm Wes Gila, one of the members, and representing Cedar Point First Edition. And the commercial lots, we've got a couple of feelers out there of letters, but nothing, in stone yet. We're waiting for the final. Once we get through the final, the DOT said it depends on what goes in lot 1 and 2. If it's heavy traffic, then they're going to make us put a street behind enter that way. But if it's low traffic, they're going to allow, is what we were told. I mean, don't have that in writing, but we're getting that. So it just depends on what goes in Lot 1 and 2 for that access there. Otherwise, Pine Street will be serving this subdivision.
If you wouldn't mind, if you would stay for just a moment, and let's see if any of the commission members have any questions for you.
If I may, let's just assume for a moment, or theorize that the DOT does not allow access to 1 and 2 off of the highway. What is your fallback plan for that road that goes behind to the south? Is that going to shrink the size of those 3 lots, or is it going to come out of the R4? Where are we going to get that 70 or however many feet?
That we haven't decided, but we want to get Phase 2 to try to serve on the, I'd call it the east side of 30th Street where the residential homes are. There'd be a row of, R1, R2 homes there, but that hasn't been decided, how we're getting access to 1 and 2. One of the plans they showed it was going south of the R4 and then having a street come back up to serve it. That's one of the plans. So whatever was currently zone R4, the surveyor did put in a street south of that and then made it go north to feed the homes on the west side and then also to feed the lots 1 and 2. That's just one he just drafted up that was one scenario.
About other questions? Say what, if you just stay available, and we'll call.
Question, I've got a question for you. The residential along 30th that butts up to your, on the east side, do you own that as well?
The undeveloped,
No, what's,
no, what's currently there, no.
That lot to the north on 30th, wasn't that just purchased?
We said no to rezoning. They wanted to rezone to an R2, and we said,
Okay.
or we,
Right, and
Did
you're
not
talking about
recommend.
the lot on the southeast corner of Bremer Avenue there and 30th Street?
the 26th, ending in
I
26th.
thought the owner of that had sold that lot.
Yeah, he has sold it.
They did, yeah.
Good. Okay. I don't know if that helps, Mary, the question you asked.
So this is already rezoned to C2. And so we're really just, it's just the layout is what we're looking at again.
Right, you're looking at how the lots are proposed to be accessed. You're looking at the final right-of-way being proposed. This is the result of them kind of engineering this, saying this is what they're going to need. From our staff review, I mean, when we're looking at this, they should have ample access for lots 1 and 2 through a shared drive point, as long as the DOT concurs. If the DOT says, no, we can't allow that, then they're going to need access for lots 1 and 2. Then the developer would have to come back to the city staff and propose a solution on how to access those, and through platting, come back again to the P&Z body to show through an easement or dedicated right-of-way, if the city is to maintain that, again, for the P&Z to review and recommend and for council to finally approve it.
Okay.
So we're looking for adequate access for all lots.
Okay, and so for future development, for whatever the remaining part of the lot, that would come back for future
Yes.
plating, but you would expect that the Pine Street is how that would be accessed in the future.
Yes.
That would be sufficient to serve.
Well, this would function as the throat section or the main entry trunk line point, or kind of a collector roadway system to the back part of this area for development. That would include any potential residential or commercial development.
So on lot 1 and 2, I mean, I'm just curious, what would be the kind of establishments there that would,
That would meet the DOT criteria of
Yeah.
low impact? I have
Yeah.
no idea.
okay.
And I don't know if you've been advised on that, Wes. I mean, I would imagine something like a restaurant use would be a high traffic volume, so you wouldn't want that because you have a high turnover. Then you almost would probably demand something like that. But maybe like a light office use.
Office
maybe?
building use, veterinarian, something like that, for pets, something that's not high traffic.
In my mind, I could approve these four with slam dunk. I think it's too bad that we don't have agreement from the DOT, and to me, that seems like it should be appropriate. I think, as we just were discussing in our work session, this is where I would hope that in the future, through a PUD, we could say we've got to see the whole thing, because to have it come back 2 or 3 times in a row doesn't make sense. It's a waste of our time. But as far as these four under the current criteria that we work with, I think we should approve it.
Is page 6 kind of what you're talking about, though, where it's listing out existing R2?
I would be more inclined to require the entire thing be platted out. That's the way I've done subdivisions.
Versus just having the block of space that this would be R2.
Right, because that's what brings us into the problems we had or were discussing earlier. If it was in print, then it'd be different than that.
The only thing I hate to disagree with you, but
You love it.
the only thing I'd say there is that, yeah, you could go and do that, but without knowing what's going to happen out there, they could be coming back and redoing that whole subdivision sometime down the road. And so, I mean, all of a sudden, it could be, instead of maybe being residential, or it could be higher use commercial or something. I mean, so yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that at this time, yeah, you could say, okay, it's going to be this and this and this, but then, if only the front lots get sold as commercial and that's really needed for residential, and it was all plotted as commercial, they could be coming back and redoing it anyway, and they'd have to be coming back in front of us anyway. So that's the only thing I would say. I mean, that's where I've seen it in the past, where somebody says, well, we're going to do this and this and this, and then it doesn't go that route, and they change their mind, so then they have to come back and redo the whole thing, and that means we change our future land use too. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just the only thing I would disagree with you on there, but I understand what you're saying.
I expect you to disagree with me most of the time, David, but I'll stand by it. To me, you put it in your infrastructure, you build it appropriately rather than you hoping by gosh. But I think these four are perfect. I have no issue.
If I add something, Mike Cherry asked for that letter, and the DOT has been out there and talked to us, and what they don't want another street there. They want Pine Street to be the collector street, so there'll never be a street that'll go through, but again, the use is going to determine how we get access to it, but that letter's going to have to be there before City Council approves it.
I will get the motion on the table, and then we can go from there. I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the final plat and construction documents creating 4 commercial lots and Pine Street extension for the property described to the City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, are you ready to vote? Okay. I think we'll just do a voice vote on this. All in favor indicate yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we wish you well. Is there any old business to come before the commission? Is there any new business to come before the commission? Barb, I think it's your turn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All the power.
I
You have
do.
all the power.
I don't know why he always looks to me to do that.
Well, I know you've memorized the words, so.